Hi, I'm Sean Billings. I'm a surveyor from Stumpwater, Texas in private practice. Today, I'm here at Javali GNSS headquarters in San Jose, California. I'm going to be talking about base rover setup. Base rover setup is the procedure we use to set up the base, generally at Triumph 1, 1M, or 2, and we use that to set up the base so that we can get fixed RTK solutions with a Triumph LS. The procedure is very robust, fast, and efficient, and also provides a lot of checks. So I'm looking forward to sharing those details with you now. Base rover setup with J-Field on the Triumph LS using a Triumph 2 paired to a HPT 401BT UHF radio. And so we'll get started. First, we want to go to Home and Setup and have an active UHF profile set up for the Triumph LS. The communication parameters we have set up for the rover, as shown here, will dictate what the communication parameters will be for the base rover setup. Base rover setup is designed to set up the base and the rover profiles simultaneously instead of sequentially. This means that the frequency set up for the base and the rover will be done at the same time. Next, we go to base rover setup. Here in base rover setup, the first thing we would want to do is connect the Triumph LS to the Triumph 2. This establishes a Bluetooth connection to our base station. Part of the connection process, the Triumph LS will query the Triumph 2 to find the current settings used by the Triumph 2. Once the connection is made, the base settings are visible on the screen. On the right side, we see the current coordinates for the Triumph 2, as well as the current instrument height for the Triumph 2. On the left side, we see the current communication parameters of the Triumph LS. Notice that some of the parameters are shown in red. This indicates that the Triumph 2 and the Triumph LS are not currently set to the same parameters for these options. To adjust these options, we want to go into the configuration screen. With this menu, we want to select UHF configuration. Once we select UHF configuration, the Triumph LS queries the Triumph 2 to determine what modem the Triumph 2 is connected to. From this, then, the Triumph LS makes options available that are compatible with the base modem. Let's look at the frequency. The frequency shown is the frequency for the Triumph LS, as we noticed in the configuration for the Triumph LS earlier. What we would want to do in this case would be to scan to make sure that this frequency is available. The Triumph LS performs a scan of the UHF spectrum for the specified frequencies. Notice that the one that we have selected is in green. Here we see red bars indicating these frequencies are currently in use and should be avoided. To see the remaining spectrums available, press Next. Going back to the first screen, we see that 461.025, which has a blue check in the box just above the frequency, has some interference. So we would want to avoid this frequency. 462.125 seems like a good choice. So we will select that frequency and make it the current frequency. Notice that now the frequency is set to 462.125. From here, we can also adjust the output power. And because we are connected to a modem that supports only 1 watt, the options for output power are set up to 1 watt. With these settings set to our desired parameters, we can select OK and return to the base rover screen. Notice that the red text on the left side indicates that some parameters are still not set to the same settings. To correct this, we'll select To Base. Prompt ask, are you sure you want to send configuration to Javad Triumph 2 00172 base, to which we will select yes. Notice that the text on the left side is yellow, indicating that the parameters are the same for both the base and the rover. Now we turn our attention to the right side, where we see our coordinates. Of particular interest is the 2D delta, which indicates that the base is currently attempting to broadcast coordinates that are too far from the current position of the base. To correct this, we want to select the field for the coordinates. Here we can either select an existing point from a list, we can enter the coordinates manually, or we can press From Auto, which will use the current autonomous position of the Triumph 2, which is what we will do here. Notice that the 2D delta is now only 2 centimeters. Next, we want to change the antenna height to the current antenna height. The Triumph 2 is set on a 2-meter pole, so we will enter 2 meters, and is also set using the 25mm adapter, so we will use the vertical height offset for this. With the height set, the offset set, and the coordinates set, we're now ready to press OK. Observe that the 2D delta is still less than 1 meter. This would indicate that the base is set with reasonable coordinates. Finally, we want to turn our attention to the recording interval. A 1-second recording interval will make a very large raw data file should the session last any length of time. If the session is only 10 or 15 minutes, a recording interval of 1 second is appropriate. But if the base is going to be set up for a longer period, such as all day, you may want to reduce this interval to a higher rate, such as 5 seconds. Now we have all of the options set for commencing the base and beginning our survey. So we press Start Base. With this, we store the current position of the base with a new point name. Even if you're recalling a point from the list, you will still record the base position to a new point. For this, we will use base 1 as the name. With the coordinates set and the proper name set, we now press Yes, Store Point, and Start Base. The point is stored to the database of the Triumph LS. The communication parameters are sent to the Triumph 2, and the Triumph 2 then sends those communication parameters to the modem that it's paired to. We see the status of the base at this point. Notice in the upper right, we see the raw data recording in progress. Below the disconnect, we see the current UHF connection status. Recall that the disconnect is for the Bluetooth connection of the rover to the base. The status below that is the UHF connection that will allow us to receive corrections from the base over UHF to the rover. Once the UHF modem is activated in the Triumph LS, we see the modem indicator on the right show OK. On the left, once the modem is activated on the Triumph 2 modem, we see that it also shows OK. Once corrections are received by the Triumph LS, the status shows receiving to indicate that we are now receiving corrections from our base. At this point, we may now go to the action screen and see that we have a fixed solution with corrections coming in from our base and are ready to begin our survey. Once we've concluded our survey, we want to return to the base and connect by Bluetooth once again. At this point, we want to press Stop Base. This immediately stops the base from broadcasting and causes the LS to download the raw data from the Triumph 2 that has been recorded during our survey. In the upper right, the indicator shows the download status of the data from the Triumph 2 to the Triumph LS. Once the file is downloaded, the base is now ready to begin a new base session. Until this file is downloaded, you will not be able to begin a new base session. Once the file has been downloaded, you'll be ready to send your file to depots for automatic adjustment of all points collected from this session to the core's network. This has been the Base Rover Setup Tutorial. I'm Sean Billings. Thank you. Hi, I'm Sean Billings. I'm a surveyor.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Kelly.